on August 2nd, 2022, a town in South Africa called Mpumalanga witnessed the most gruesome act that has ever been committed in the history of South Africa. This man right here is Sergeant Mandli Kosi Hape Tawala. He's a 45-year-old policeman in South Africa. And this lady right here is Zanele Nkumpo. Zanele and Tawala, they were in a relationship together. Their relationship wasn't that smooth relationship. Of course, some relationships has their ups and downs. They also experienced the same thing in their relationship. But it was said that Zanele and Tawala were very good together. They lived in the same apartment together. July 30th was Zanele's birthday. So Tawala then decided to take Zanele out on a date to give her that special treat because it was her birthday. They went to this fancy restaurant where they sat down and they were having this conversation and eating and chit-chatting and laughing and all of that. Then Tawala excused himself that he wanted to go to the washroom. So he left. Upon returning back, he saw that Zanele was sitting at the same spot with a gentleman. So Tawala then decided to hang back to see what was going on. When he was watching Zanele and this gentleman having this conversation, they were so good together. It was like they've known each other for years. They were just having fun, laughing, holding hands. This kind of scene bored Tawala because he didn't understand the fact that he had brought his girlfriend to a restaurant to have fun and he went out to just take a leak. Upon returning, he would see the girlfriend with another guy having fun and chit-chat, and the guy was sitting on Tawala's chair. So Tawala became hungry and he stormed to the place. Immediately, Tawala held Zanele's hand and dragged her and told her that they should leave this place. Upon getting to the entrance of the restaurant for them to depart, Zanele then returned back to meet this guy, gave his phone to the guy for the guy to type his number onto the phone. Tawala got angry and he stormed out of the place and left Zanele behind, and he went to the house. When he got to the house, about 10-15 minutes time, Zanele also appeared and she was knocking the door. Zanele kept on knocking and pleading that it was nothing, that the guy is just an ex and it's not harmful. It's been a while they've seen each other, so they just want to catch up on old times. Tawala still wasn't having it. So Tawala packed Zanele's things and threw it out of the door for Zanele to leave his apartment. So Zanele packed her things and went home. Days became weeks and Tawala couldn't contain the loneliness, so he started calling up Zanele to make up. So they spoke for a few times, they called here and there. At this point, Zanele was at her parents' house. So they fixed a date for Zanele to come and visit Tawala. So Zanele decided to come and visit Tawala on this very day. That day, Tawala didn't go to work because he was off duty. Zanele came to Tawala's place and they were sitting down, chatting, catching up on old time. Then a strange number called. Zanele picked up the phone and she was speaking to this guy. So she excused herself from the living room and went to the bathroom and was speaking to the guy. Tawala felt uncomfortable. He felt unsafe. So he also went and hid his ear at the back of the door. He was actually eavesdropping on Zanele's conversation. They were just laughing and making a whole lot of gestures on the phone for about 15 to 20 minutes. So this made Tawala really angry. And he went to pick his gun and clocked it. He was knocking on the door for Zanele to come out so that they would talk. The moment Zanele opened the door, he pointed the gun on Zanele's head and told Zanele that he was going to blow her brains out. This is the same guy that you met at the restaurant and I dragged you, went back to pick his number. What are you taking me for? He has confirmed and concluded that Zanele is cheating on him with his ex-boyfriend. So Zanele knew that this was the end. If she didn't do something fast, she was going to die in Tawala's house. So she did what she could do, to convince a guy. He played Tawala's hand by seducing him with sex. Tawala as a guy also fell for this trick, like the way Delilah did with Samson. He gave him, when have that power to make any situation less secure. They give him, if you are mad to heaven, they have a way to make you calm down. So this was what Zanele did. She played Tawala's hand and convinced him and, tried to seduce him and, they decided to have that make-up sex. Thinking Tawala had let everything out of him, apparently he still harbored some pain in him. So this time, the kind of sex he had with Zanele was different. It was a rough sex. He manhandled Zanele. That kind of sex they call the BDSM kind of sex. He manhandled the girl, did all sort of nasty things to her because he was angry within him that a girl that I cherish you so much, then you just be going around frolicking with your exes and making them have their way with you, whilst I'm the one paying on you, spending on you. Tawala did the most nastiest thing to Zanele. So Zanele kept it within herself and they slept. When they slept, Zanella woke up in the middle of the night and she thought about what Twala had done to her, where the rough sex that Twala had with her. She didn't like it. She didn't also want to let that slide. So she kept thinking that why would this guy treat me like I'm a whore or some kind of a bitch, so to say? Why would this guy treat me like this? This pain and these thoughts were persisting in Zanella's head. It was ringing in Zanella's head. She couldn't take it anymore. So she looked around and she found the pistol that Twala threatened her with. She took the pistol and shot 2 straight bullets in Twala's head, and she landed the remaining 3 bullets on his chest. The table has turned in a way, because earlier Twala was the one angry who wanted to end Zanella's life because he had this pain avoid in him. And after the rough sex, now the pain transferred to Zanella. So Zanella was also harboring this kind of pain in her, that why would my boyfriend treat me like a whore? After Zanella placing these bullets in Twala's head and his body, she took Twala's phone and his car and drove away from the house. It reached a point where there was a police checkpoint ahead. Zelena knew they were going to check the car and find out that there was blood around her body, and also there was a gun with her. She ditched the gun into the bush. She parked the car somewhere and ran back. She didn't run to her parents' house. She ran to a friend's house. That very night, she confided into the friend that this is what she had done. Then 3 days' time, she moved to her parents' house. So Twala's mother didn't hear from the son for like 3 days. She was worried, so she's been calling the son's number. It wasn't going through. She decided to ask some neighbors to go check onto her son to see if the son is well. When the neighbors went, they knocked on Twala's door. They kept on knocking for several times. Nobody was responding. They had to break down the door. Twala was dead with blood all over his body and his head spattered. Immediately, they called the police to inform them that one of their colleagues has been murdered in his house, and they informed Twala's mother. Twala's mother had the shock of her life and she fainted immediately. They rushed Twala's mother to the hospital. So the news broke out that somebody has murdered Twala in his room. Nobody had any suspects because people around knew Twala and the girlfriend were having issues, and the girlfriend had left the house for some weeks now, so they didn't place the girlfriend to be the main suspect. Zanella's friend couldn't keep this information in her. Conscience wasn't playing well along with her. She didn't feel comfortable. Her conscience was telling her to do the right thing. So she reported to the police that Zanella confided in her some few weeks ago that she killed the boyfriend. So now police had to retrace the suspicion back to Zanella and make Zanella the prime suspect for the murder of Twala, the boyfriend. It was all over the place that the police were looking for Zanella. So they went to Zanella's parents' home, and they also said they've not seen Zanella for some weeks now. So they started to do their set, broaden the horizon, cover more areas in search of Zanella. And finally, they found Zanella in the ex-boyfriend's house, the same guy whom Zanella met at the restaurant, which made Twala really angry. The same guy who called Zanella in Twala's presence, where Zanella had to go to the washroom to receive the call. They found Zanella at that guy's place. They arrested her and took her to cells. On November 2023, Zanella was processed to court and she pleaded guilty. On the 4th of April 2024, Zanella was sentenced to prison for 20 years. I can't just believe why they would give her 20 years, because she committed a murder, and a gruesome one at that. People also argued the fact that Zanella was manhandled. Her rights were taken from her. So women rights advocate also advocated that Zanella didn't do right, Twala also didn't do right, so she deserved the 20 years. She didn't deserve life because Twala treated her in some gruesome act. If Twala hadn't done that kind of act to her, she's not crazy to just stand up and shoot Twala while he was sleeping. So this was the back and forth which people were contemplating, that the judge showed leniency on Zanella, and people also said that Zanella deserved life imprisonment. So what is your thought on this story? Let me know under the comment section. This is Twisted True Crime. Thanks for lending me your ears.